abalaba chairpersons wa branches babadde bagenze Kenya kola training katwaga kumanya babajjeeyo batye Kenya ne babaleeta ate nga abasirikale ababajjeeyo babadde ba Amajje. Mbadde sikimanyi nti Amajje ga Uganda gali Kenya kubanga Amajje ogenda mu nsi endala parliament ekwa kuyisa resolution tetunakkirizaako Amajje gaffe genda Kenya naye ge gabaleese babasibye empingo ku migongo. Can you imagine nga n'abakyala abasajja be babambula ogenda ku toyi because nga tebasobola kweyambula emikono bagisibidde mabega. So kati Kenya tubulire oba munnauganda akyasobola ogenda Kenya n'abeerayo mu mirembe. N'ekyokubiri ne woba ogenda kujja muntu wabeerawo enkola egobererwa oteekwa okuba nga olina ekiwandiiko ekikomyawo omuntu oyo togenda bugenzi n'olumba gamayinza ga nti Kenya Museveni kati agifudde nga ndowooza nayo disitulikiti ya Uganda gyagenda n'asiba abantu nga bw'ayagala n'aleeta kuba singa bazize omusango nga baguddiza Kenya baali badde basibiddwa Kenya era nga gye bavunaanibwa naye tebagoberedde nkola n'emu ejja muntu mu nsi ndala. Mulimu ne gwe baleese nga musajja wattu yanoonya ddaba obuddamu ali Kenya sinda takyalina munnauganda naye bamusanze buli gwe badde basangawo ekiro nga bayoola buyoozi. Ekyokubiri Kenya bukyanga batandika kwekalakaasa abantu abafudde basukka 40 bwe banaakomawo ne batuvunaana nti Amajje ga Uganda ge gakuba abantu. Mind you olwaleero omusango ogwatusinga ogwa Congo tusasula miliyoni za dola $325 1.2 trillion kugenda Congo kolayo ebikolobero. Kati Amajje ga Uganda gatuuse gatye Kenya bwe tunaavaawo nga ate Kenya etuvunaana nti Amajje gamwe gajja wano ne gakolerawo ebikolobero. So tujja kuba tubuuza parliament enkya gavumenti etubuulire Amajje gaffe gatuuse gatye Kenya bwe baba badde bagenze kukwata abatujju nti bano bagenze kubasomesa bya butujju ani yadde agenda obasomesa naye mukwate.
Iso egamba bana abantu baba reporting Amajje ga Uganda siri
Amajje ga Uganda egawano nibo babasanze ku hoteli nga boogera nabo Olunyankole kuba Abanyankole basinga obungi mu Majje batono nga boogera Oluganda. Bano bwe baleese si bakasiru boogera byabatuuseeko byonna babimanyi. Ababajje badde boogera nabo mu Lunyankole mu Luganda. So n'olwekyo tiri yasobola kwewakana kati ndowooza ensonyi zibakwata kubanga mu busiru bwabwe eggwanga libategedde nti bali Kenya n'emmundu. Carrying guns. I don't know what the Ugandan military is doing in Kenya with guns. Because deployment of armed people in Uganda is a preserve of parliament. And if they committed a crime in Kenya, first of all, does Uganda have a jurisdiction over Kenya? That you go and pick people from Kisumu and charge them in Nakawa? So was the crime committed in Nakawa or in Uganda? That is the first issue, and I intend to raise these matters in Parliament. I want to be told what are Ugandan armed men doing in Kenya. See, in Kenya they have shot people dead during demonstrations. Maybe they are shot by Ugandans, the same way they nearly shot our people who had gone for training. But we are used to these charges. I was brought in this same court and charged for terrorism during walk to work, which eventually they couldn't sustain and downgraded to being a public nuisance. So you are dealing with people who are desperate. They first arrest you and then look for charges. It is laughable that you can correct people from a hotel attending a training at a Catholic church, and then you bring them and charge them. Maybe the Catholics are terrorists now. So we are going to ask that church to explain if the establishment is registered as a terrorist organization in Kenya. But the level of desperation can make them do crazy things. Because so what are the ingredients that they collected in a hotel and then went to receive terrorism training? First of all, someone who has gone to receive terrorism training, it means he's not even yet a terrorist. Because they have gone to receive the training. They arrive in the evening, you arrest them. Even the training that you want to accuse them, they haven't received it.
Did they follow the due process to conduct the
No, there is absolutely no way you are going to remove people from Kenya. And then we will be writing, first of all, to the Kenyan authority to tell us if Ugandans are no longer safe in Kenya. Because many of us go to Kenya. So if this government is going to walk there with guns and remove you from a hotel, we will, and I intend at a personal level to begin sending warnings to people who are going to Kenya, please be mindful. Kenya has become unsafe for Ugandans. Because how can people walk into your country? First of all, under the East African protocols and customs, we are no longer required to have even visas to go to Kenya. So this training could have been conducted elsewhere. So how can people be brought? No extradition order, not even charged, because if they committed a crime in Kenya, they should have been charged in Kenya. So this whole story, whoever is cooking it, but I can see, because ISO, in the budget, we give ISO about 250 billion shilling. They must account for this money. They must appear like they are working so hard. They have now discovered a cell of terrorism in Kenya and bring people. The way you have looked at them, these ones, they left Uganda today and then the following day they are arrested. And that's why they are charging them for going to Kenya to receive terrorism training. So who recruited them in Kenya? Is there an organization in Kenya that is a terrorist organization that recruits and trains people?
But says they left the country on the 3rd of July and they were deported. They came back on the 23rd. So it's not true that after one day they came back.
So you said they went to receive terrorism training. Did they receive it from who? Why doesn't Kenya arrest that trainer, the one who was going to give them training? Because you see, if you have arrested trainers, it means you first deal with the trainees with the trainers. So who in Kenya was teaching them terrorism? Has that person been arrested?
As a legislator, where does it leave the East African community?
We are going to run a campaign, very serious campaign, starting tonight, to tell Ugandans who are in Kenya, you are in trouble. Because Museveni can casually and freely walk into Kenya and pick you, whether you have committed a crime or not. So Kenya should tell us if they are still part of the African community, where we have free movement of goods and people.
Uganda.
Okusoka bano bonna be basibye bakulembeze mu FDC.
One is that clearly Museveni is not in charge. Because if he was in charge, there is no one would have charged 36 activists who had traveled to U.O.U, to receive basic skills of communication with terrorism. So number one, I've confirmed that Museveni is out of touch, and is not in charge. Number two, what happened to our colleagues has confirmed to me what the Kenyans have always complained and talked about, that we have some of our Ugandan forces in Kenya, because when they broke into their rooms, put them on gunpoint, when they were being tortured, it is the Ugandan security forces that were doing that. They were speaking Runyaktara and others were speaking Luganda. So for the charges of terrorism, it's really a shock. It is surprising that people who had gone to receive training in communication skills can be called terrorists.
Put in some legal perspective, a legal mind, what do you think this should have been? Because first of all, they didn't have clearance.
These guys had clearance because they all passed the Ugandan border. They had, they had their passports stamped in. They actually had the yellow fever cards. And even the center where they were arrested from, it's a church center, by the way, a Catholic center. So it's just a surprise that they were forced back. Because if we are talking about deportation, there are laws that are supposed to be followed. They are supposed to take them to court and then bring them here. By the way, there's also a Kenyan that was arrested with them, a Kenyan refugee in the names of Simon Rutaronda, who was also abducted with them and is also appearing here. But most importantly, these are our activists from all over the country, and they are very strong. If you are in court, you saw them singing that they will overcome. When they read out their charges of terrorism, they all started laughing because they know they are innocent. They had simply gone to attend a training in communication skills.
The number is 36, but we've heard of 40.
Clearly speaking, I am one of the people that has been visiting them in Nagalama, but I was never allowed access to all of them. So until yesterday, I was only able to tell that they were 27. So it's only after they have been charged here that we have actually come to realize that the number was not even that 36 that we are told, but 40.
How many?
I'm yet to establish. Probably we need to look at the charge sheet and establish the number.